And then if people join, Meg and Mel, I don't know if you can see as people join, can you? I don't know if it lets.
On the first one that we did after I'd done it, I could, but for some reason now I can't.
Ah, because we're not in the track room, are we? We're in a different room. That'll be why. That's why. Makes sense. Okay, I'm going to get cracking. Thanks everyone for joining. I might have to kind of toggle a bit to let people in, so we might be a little bit disjointed, but I will keep the flow as much as I can. Let me just. Right. Oh. I'm trying to find which screen it is. There we go. Can we all see that? View. Can you see that? I should have practiced this before, shouldn't I? I can't see it within. Ah, that's better. And can I click through it though? Oh my gosh, why is this not letting me? Right, hang on, I'll have to. It's not letting me see it within. The app, and I can't. Oh, sorry, how unprofessional. Presenter mode, is that it? Oh. Oh my god, I'm so sorry guys. Let me I'm doing this on purpose just to show you that it doesn't matter if like things mess up.
It's reassuring.
Right, I'm gonna have to do it in this screen, which means that I can't see or hear any of you. That's terrible. So I don't know if anyone's asking a question. Surely this isn't right. I know what I might be able to do. I'm so sorry. I wonder if I can do it like this. No, because I still can't see you. What? Why is this? We might have to jump over to Zoom.
I'm trying to think what I've done, because I've started using Butter and I've literally just started using it with Take Messy Action. I'm trying to think my problem is I had notes, so I needed to see like the presenter mode notes, so then I couldn't see anyone.
So I can do it like, can you see the slides now?
Yeah, we can see like, yeah, we can see obviously it's in presenter. If you're going to present full screen,
can you see it like that?
Yeah, that's
right.
it.
Okay.
Only see the slides now.
Okay, fine. I've just got like 2 screens. I'm so sorry. How unprofessional. But as I said, I did that completely on purpose. That was totally planned to show you how these things happen, and none of that matters. Okay, so let's get stuck into the workshop. Thank you for joining me. As I've just said, I am a huge fan of workshops specifically, but of anything that allows us to jump on these creative, energetic sparks that we have and create something that we can quickly get out there and sell and feels really, really good for us to sell. I think it's so important. you know, we all have like our big offers and whatever, you know, communities or whatever we have, but having these things that we can just think, oh my God, that's such a great idea. Like loads of people are asking me about that, creating it, putting it out there and selling it. There's nothing like it. So I really wanted to cover this with you all. So the promise of the workshop today is that I want you to leave the workshop confident in creating, selling and delivering your next £1,000 workshop. If you've already smashed your £1,000 workshop, then, you know, maybe it's your next £5,000 workshop, but it's entirely possible. If you haven't run a workshop yet, I want you to leave this feeling confident that you can and can make that money from it. So I want to talk a bit about common fears, because this is something that I talk to so many people about, and these things come up all the time. Feel free to put anything in the chat. I can't see it because of screen sharing issues, but feel free to put anything in there if you can relate to any of these, or if there's anything else that comes up for you. The number one thing that people say to me is, what if no one turns up? You know, it's that self-trust stuff of, yeah, I can create it. I know what I want to say. I'm really comfortable like putting the slides together and thinking of the title and all of that stuff. But what if no one turns up and it's just a complete waste? So we're going to be looking at how we can make sure people do turn up. What if the tech messes up? I mean, could never be me. I don't know people that happens to, but as you've just seen, like it happens. And the thing is, more often than not, you are your audience. Like, I guess there was a time where, I mean, that was still a bit stressful, but I guess there was a time where that would have had me just thinking, oh my God, how do I just exit the screen and like run and never see these people again? But you are generally your audience. Like, I don't feel like we have to pretend in front of our audience or in front of our people, do we? Stuff happens, and accepting that is part of being able to launch stuff without getting stuck in this perfectionism. And what if I forget what to say, which is pretty ridiculous when you think about it, because you're teaching the subject that you know about, but these fears do come up. And I think it's, you know, we need to recognize that. So the one thing I want you to remember with this, I was literally discussing this with a client this morning, is like, you get to choose. You know, there is no one way to run a workshop. There is no one way to, you know, send your replay or give a bonus, or all of that stuff is an option, but you get to choose how you run this. And the most important thing is that you run it and you deliver it really well. And if that means for you not giving any bonuses, not giving a workbook, not even giving a replay perhaps, if the objective for you is just to run the workshop and get that first time over and done with, then you get to choose. That is really, really important. I've done workshops where people have just gone through a Google Doc. They've just had a Google Doc rather than slides with like their kind of thoughts and pointers and bullet points on it. It wasn't the most riveting of kind of visual experiences, but it meant that she felt really confident and delivered it really, really well. It was an excellent workshop, but it was something that I'd never seen done before. So, you know, we really do get to choose. We get to make the rules. So there's some things that we do need to worry about. Those aren't any of them, but what we do need to worry about is delivering our promise. If we're telling people that we're going to teach them this specific, actionable, very valuable thing in the workshop, we really need to make sure we deliver on that. We'll come into this, but I think that's the thing that throughout the creation process, we're constantly cross-referencing. Have I delivered on that? That thing that I said people are going to get, am I delivering that? Have I delivered on everything that I've promised? Making it actionable. I couldn't really think of any examples where this wouldn't be appropriate, but I'm sure there are some examples. I'm sure there's some people teaching workshops on very theory-based stuff where it's not necessarily actionable, but I think for the majority of us, it will be actionable. And we want to make sure that people can leave and can put that into action straight away. I'm making it fun. Again, asterisk, I'm sure there's some topics that shouldn't be fun and aren't fun and, you know, are much more serious. But if it's a fun topic, make it fun. Make people enjoy being there and think that was a really great way to spend an hour or you know, 90 minutes, whatever it is. We're all time poor. We need to make people really pleased that they've actually invested the time. Things that we don't need to worry about are having the best slide deck. I know that's something people can get really, really hung up on. I definitely used to. I was never I never went to uni, and I never had a corporate job where I had to like present to people. And I feel like that's where you get your PowerPoint training, isn't it? So a lot of that stuff I never did. So when it came to creating slide decks, I was like, is this the right way, or is this? And now I've just found the way that works for me. And I think that's really important for you, just finding what works for you. You don't need to worry about the tech because, again, going back a few slides, you get to choose. So you get to use the thing that's most comfortable for you, whether that's, you know, a Zoom call, a Butter call, I don't know, whatever that might be, a live in a Facebook group, whatever feels easiest for you, that's what you get to do. Or it being perfect. It shouldn't be perfect. No one wants perfect. You know, you guys have been to so many of my workshops now. Not a single one of them has been perfect. I think I've had screen sharing issues every single time. So, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. We don't need to get hung up on that. So the process and what I'm going to be taking you through today is planning. So planning the topic, planning what you're going to deliver, planning that promise, creating the actual workshop, selling it, delivering it, and then the follow-up, which is the bit that so many people miss out. So we're really going to deep dive on that section. And then we'll have time for Q&A at the end. It's just, you know, there's just a few of us, so we'll have some decent time for Q&A at the end. So let's get stuck into planning, because I feel like this is probably an area that as ADHDers we get stuck on, or it maybe even puts us off from the beginning, because we just think, I don't really know where to start, and it feels like such a complicated process. If I tell you that I created these slides this morning because I just live in the last minute. I cannot get motivation or see it clearly, or until I've got that kind of time pressure. So yeah, I had like notes typed out, and I had I knew exactly what I wanted to teach. In terms of putting everything together, that for me is a very last minute, quite a quick thing. It's not, it shouldn't be taking hours or days. So let's look at the planning stage. So first of all, we need to look at the topic. So what are your audience currently asking you? What's like the vibe? What's the conversation that you see people having either with you, or you see them having online, or in the press, or on TV, you know, in your industry? What are people talking about? What are their concerns? What are their fears? What's coming up? What are people predicting? What are they trying to imagine will or won't happen in the future? What are your clients experiencing? What's the thing that your clients come to you asking? Just taking Meg, because we do very similar things. You know, there'll be really specific things that clients come to you for ADHD coaching for, you know, around, is it time blindness? Is it like there's such definite areas and buckets that you can pick from. So yeah, if anyone wants to share any ideas they have in the chat, I'll come back to that and we can brainstorm some ideas. And what do you know that they don't? Izzy, that's a great one for you. Yours is such a practical topic. You know, what do people want to know from you? Yours isn't necessarily, oh, I don't know how to create textile art. Yours is more, let's make this really specific thing. You know, I'll teach you how to make this one specific piece. So it's definitely different for all industries, but these kind of questions are what you need to be asking yourself, because it's really important that we have a topic that your audience are going to say, oh, like, I need to know that. That is literally on the top of my mind right now, and I really need to understand that from someone that I respect, I know, I like, I trust. Promise. What's the promise of your workshop? So what's the specific value that you're going to deliver for them? What's that promise that they know they're going to leave having delivered? How will they feel afterwards? So how are they going to feel in terms of, are you going to take them from, you know, feeling confused about a topic to confident? Are you going to take them from feeling frustrated about not being able to do a specific thing to really confident in being able to do that very, very specific thing? And what will they be able to do? So what is that thing? And a kind of add-on to that would be, what will they be able to do and how quickly will they be able to do it? And that, I think that comes more into the sales language, but it's really worth looking at this point. You know, will they be able to leave the call? I could kind of say, you can leave this workshop and you will have the idea for your next workshop, you know, or could you say that you'll leave the workshop and within 7 days, your promise is that they will have the confidence to, I don't know, go and chat up their dream man in a bar, whatever it might be. None of you are those people, but you know. So yeah, being really, really specific about that is the key. Let me see if I can find it again. Okay. Your audience. So it's very likely that this isn't going to be for your whole audience. When you start thinking about these topics, they'll likely be for a section of your audience. It's not going to be everyone that I speak to every day on Instagram or on my emails or whatever it might be wants to learn about this thing. So getting really clear about who it's for and who it isn't for is really important, because that's going to come through not only in your sales language when we come to look at that, but you need to keep that in mind when you're planning out the content. It's no good if this is a topic that appeals to, let's say, a younger demographic within your audience. It's no good putting language or, you know, topics within it that would appeal to a more experienced demographic, for example. So the story, this is really important, and this definitely comes in the marketing phase as well, but we need to start thinking about this now. So the story of your workshop, the story of your offer, and why your clients need it. So this is a bit of a stress test for you in terms of, is there a market for this? You know, are people actually going to want this, or am I just assuming that they will? So where are they right now? The person that you're creating this for, where are they right now? Where do they want to be? And how is the topic of the workshop or the contents of the workshop going to get them there? So for example, with this one, people are for me, my audience are in a situation where, you know, things are feeling a bit tight. We've just come out of summer. People are not investing as easily in higher ticket programs. And I know from firsthand experience that people are investing in smaller items like workshops. I've seen a huge impact in my business. So for my audience who are currently feeling like things are a bit tight, want to get to a place where they don't feel as tight in a way that works for them, this is a great solution for them. And so I'm confident on that story in creating it. I know it's not a waste of my time to create it because people will want this thing. And I also know when I come to sell it, I can tell that story and it's going to appeal to the people who are in that situation. I keep wanting to say, does that make sense? Have you got any questions? But any questions you have as we go along, put them in the chat because I will get to them. It's just that I can't see them right now, unfortunately. But I will get to them. So creating it, who feels, put your hand up because I think I can see you all. Who feels confident in like the creation bit? Yeah, ish. I think it's the time, isn't it? It's the time investment. It's like, how long is this going to take me? And I would just keep reiterating this, like, do what works for you. You get to decide. So is it that, you know, maybe your presentation is just 4 slides and you just need like bullet points or like flashcards? You just want the bullet points, the kind of prompts, because you know you can talk around that. There's the golden rule in creating slides is not to put something different on the slide to the thing that you're talking about to kind of keep people's attention. That doesn't really work for me. I found the way that works for me is to kind of put these questions that prompt what I want to say, and also give people, I can see all like writing down gives you the prompts to take away in you. So that's what works for me. It might work for you as well, but I find that quite a kind of simple, time effective way of doing it. So when you're looking at your content, we want to think about these 3 things. So what are the key learning points of the topic? So when you think about, if we go back a few slides, I set out those like 5 stages of creating, selling, delivering, following up on an email. So when you're looking at those stages, rather than, it's so easy when we create a workshop to kind of start here and then, especially for us, meander somewhere over here and then have a wander back over there and then kind of take a detour down here. And, you know, you really do need to keep people's attention. So what is that journey that someone takes from not being confident when they go out, not being confident in their wardrobe, to being really confident in their wardrobe and, you know, going out and meeting new friends, whatever it might be. So what are the key learning points, the key milestones of that topic? What do they need to know within those? What are the points within them that they need to know? And how can you make that as simple as possible? And that's for you and for them. You know, people want to understand exactly what you're saying. And if you've got 45 minutes or an hour to deliver it, we haven't got a huge amount of time to labor on each point. So how can we make it as simple as possible? So we take all that stuff, and when we're putting it into a structure, and this, again, this is how I do it, this is how I would recommend doing it, just to keep it as simple as possible, is to pick 3 or 4 headers. I had 5, breaking my own rules, but 3 or 4 headers, pick 3 or 4 points within each. That's the format I've done with this, and I just think it keeps that pace, so everyone knows where you are and knows where, you know, how we're moving along, and then teach within those points. So it might be, again, going back to the kind of question structure or this bullet point structure. You know, you'll see some people's presentation, they have like GIFs and animations and all kinds of things. I haven't gone down that route. I just really prefer to be able to talk around a topic. And again, that's a really personal thing. So understanding what works for you is absolutely key. So 3 to 4 headers to follow the milestones within that journey that you're taking people on, 3 to 4 points within each, and then teach within those points and, you know, use your personality and brilliance. One thing that I do need to highlight is just considering accessibility, depending on, well, not even depending on who your audience, just thinking about, you know, do you have a provision for audio only? Does the platform you're using allow audio only? Does it allow closed captions? Do people need assistance with tech? Is that something that you feel like your audience would need? Because that really can put some people off buying, you know, apart from meaning they can't enjoy the experience. It really can put people off. So making sure that it's accessible where possible. Thinking about actually presenting it, so going through it, how do you like to present? I have a client that I was talking to through all of this stuff about this morning, and we've been working for a few weeks on a pre-recorded course that she was going to put out to her audience. And we had a call a couple of weeks ago, and there was this like real feeling of stuck, and I was like, are you enjoying doing this? She's going to watch this, by the way. Hi. And she said, yeah, really, yeah. But she was like, the funny thing is, get me in a room in front of people just talking, and I just like light up. Like, it's just, you know, people love my talks and it makes me come alive, and I feel so like my authority and all of this stuff. So the course went out the window. That is what we're doing now. Really, really listen to that stuff, because this probably isn't going to sound great, but the reality is that the audience doesn't matter at this point. If you put something out that you don't feel comfortable in presenting, and it's taken you ages and it's drained the life out of you, you're probably not going to sell much, because you'll be exhausted and it's not going to be great. They're not really going to enjoy it. So all that matters at this stage is that you are excited to present it, you're feeling confident, you're doing it in a way that feels great for you, because that will follow through to them loving it, wanting to work with you more, and all of that good stuff. How will you keep them engaged? This is a bit of a bugbear of mine. This is a bit of a, like, I don't know, year 2000 online coaching thing, you know, where everyone would be like, put in the chat where you're dialing in from, like, hey guys, like asking these stupid questions. I'm just not really that person. If you are, great. If you're not, there are other ways of keeping people engaged, which is just being yourself and chatting and talking about something that you're really enthusiastic about, and asking them questions. You know, I'll say to you, I know I can't see it, but does that make sense? Have you got any questions? Who recognizes this? Like, keeping the audience engaged is important, even if it's a really interesting topic. And again, you'll know what feels comfortable to you in terms of that. What do you already have? So this is one of the whole points of me putting this together. Was I've spoken to so many of you about reinventing the wheel, and like, when you're looking at how you're creating your presentation, what have you already got hidden in Google Drive, in Canva, in your notes app, in your brain, like things that you've thought, oh, I'll do a workshop on that, and then it just goes to the back of the Rolodex somewhere. So there's so much stuff that we have. Try searching keywords, try searching like your starred documents. If that doesn't work, then maybe just have a full trawl through, because there will be so much stuff hidden in your drives and in your computer. Like the Spotlight on Apple Mac's a really good one as well to have a look through your documents. Anything where we can save time is essentially what we need to be doing. Save time and energy. And also, one of the things that always amazes me when I look back at stuff is like how good it is. I look at stuff and I'm like, who wrote that? That's really good. Like, I didn't know I thought like that. So going back to revisit you of, 6 months ago or a year ago can be a really rewarding thing. Does anyone have any questions up to this point? Because we're about to jump into selling. Let me see if I can see. I need to work this out. This can't be right, this screen share thing. Oh, okay, loads of questions. Okay, I'm going to come back to these. Let me go through the rest of this, and then I will come back to these and we'll cover all of them. So selling, I know that this is another area that people generally don't like. And I would really urge you to oh yeah, let me go back. There was a light bulb moment that I had a while ago, and some of you will have heard me say this before. Please forgive me if you have. If you are in love with the product that you're selling and so confident and want to shout about it from the rooftops, and it works for you and it makes you feel energized and you can't wait to deliver it, or you can't wait, whatever that might be, you will sell that product. And if you don't feel like that, you need to go back to the product. So that's like the virtuous cycle of selling, particularly in online business. You know, if you're selling a product that you're not confident in, that is definitely going to come through in your selling. If you are confident in it, you're not really selling it. You're just kind of talking about it and talking about you're creating it, and you know, you've got all that seeding content that when you do come to sell it, people are just ready to sign up. They don't need to be sold to. So the process, I think I might have put this in the wrong place. Oh no, I haven't, sorry. Okay, so the process of selling and delivering, I wanted to just take a look at the kind of funnel process of it. So the first thing we're going to need is your landing page, which is where they're going to buy it. Then we need email marketing software, preferably, but we need to be able to email them the information, which will be confirmation, a calendar link, and a Zoom link or a Butter link, or, you know, video link. We deliver the workshop, then we're emailing them the follow-up information. If there is follow-up information, I would recommend emailing them anyway. And then we've got the follow-up, whether that's an upsell or an invitation to something else. Even though these workshops are about, you know, delivering nuggets of value for kind of bite-sized investments, they're still part of your customer journey. They still need to be a kind of measured or, you know, strategic part of, there's a whole load of my audience that aren't ready to invest X amount with me, but would probably invest this, and then they would get to know me better, and then hopefully a proportion of them would want to move on. So when it comes to selling, in terms of the tech, we really need to think about, because so many people get caught up on this as well, and it's really frustrating because it really isn't the most important bit. If you have all of the things I just said, a product that you're really confident in, can't wait to deliver, you could literally have a Stripe link and people will sign up. You know, we don't need all of this fancy tech around it, but how are they going to purchase it? Do you have a landing page? Do you just have a Stripe link? Is it a warm audience, or is it a workshop that you know people are absolutely desperate for, and you could just send an email to your list explaining exactly what it is with a Stripe link to sign up? You know, could it be that easy for you? How easy can we make it for ourselves? How simple can we make it for our audience? So how are they going to purchase it? What does that process look like for you, and how can that be as simple as possible? How are you going to deliver the links? So the information that they need in terms of the links, but also the thanks for signing up, I can't wait, this is what you can expect, this is what I'll be delivering, calendar, whether that's a calendar link, and then the link to the actual workshop. And then what does that look like in the lead up to the workshop as well? How often do you want to remind them? Is it just an email the day before, perhaps, to remind them? And then how will you follow up in terms of the tech? How are you going to follow up with them? Is that another email? Are you going to send out an email with, here's your replay bonus workbook, whatever that might be? What does that offer look like for you? I've just realized a really important thing I've missed out of here, which is pricing. I can't believe I've missed that out. We'll come to that at the end. Selling. So what is the story of your offer? So the story that we talked about before, when it comes to selling, this is so important, because we need to tell this story back to our audience for them to understand that that's them, for them to be able to identify themselves in that story. We need to be really, really clear on what that story is. So again, what's the story of your offer? Where are they now? Where do they want to be? How is our workshop going to help them get there? Why do they need it specifically? Why do they need it now? Why do they need it at all? Why do they need it in their business? How is it gonna help them? And what will they be able to achieve once they've got it? So in terms of where are they now? Where do they want to be? What does that actually look like? What will they be able to achieve? Mel, I've got you in my line of sight. So, you know, someone comes and does a kettlebell workshop with you. It's not just, you're not going to leave the workshop with muscles, are you? But you're going to leave with the confidence to do it on your own and be able to exercise in 5 minutes a day and fit it around the kids or the family. Or so all of those things, what will they be able to achieve with the value that they've got from your workshop? And then when we're looking at content to actually sell it, for me, this is again all about making it easy for you, making it easy to sell, not making it, oh, I'm launching a workshop, I have to have this whole launch plan, launch strategy. Is it that you just set up a ManyChat automation and you just share your normal content, but you just put something in the footer? Is it that you just talk about it on stories, so you kind of document you creating the workshop, you know, go onto stories saying, I've just had this idea, I'm so excited to put this workshop together, like stay tuned, I'll, you know, or join the wait list or whatever, I'm gonna start creating it and I'll come back to you. Or is it that you do create content around it and you say for a week you're going to create content around the story of this offer and you're just going to share that? So you almost do it as a mini launch, and that's going to come down to what you prefer, what feels good for you, what makes you, what feels most kind of in flow for you. And how can you make it feel like more than a workshop? So I've seen people, and I've signed up for workshops that are hundreds of pounds, you know, that are 200, 500 pounds, and are positioned more as like mini courses, or, you know, some people even position this kind of thing as almost like masterminds, you know, there's another element to it. So it is essentially a workshop, but then there's an element to, like a group coaching element, or is there something you could add on to it so you can increase the price and increase the value that they're getting? I wouldn't recommend that if it's your first one, but it's definitely something to think about. How can you make it feel like more than just I'm going to talk you through a slide deck and teach you something? And what bonuses and upgrades are you going to include in them, and how are you going to put that in your content as well? So are you going to have, like for this workshop, I had a bonus, which was a follow-up call where we work out all of this for your workshop topic. So can you add things like that in? Can you add bonuses in that are templates or something that's going to help them create it? And then, I hate using this P word, but we do need a little plan, just a tiny little plan. So how many places do you want to sell? How many seats do you want to sell for this workshop? We need a rough idea of how many people we want to buy it. That comes into the pricing, which we'll look at next. What are your sales levers? So we all need to know this really, and we all do know it on a kind of subconscious level, but we really need to identify that. I used to have shops, so I always think of it in terms of this. We would have the poster sites on the wall, and we'd have an A-frame outside the shop, and we would have, you know, online advertising. We'd have all these places and like partners that would be advertising. We'd have all these places we could advertise in if we needed to, you know, if we had an event or something coming up. And I think of online businesses the same. So yeah, we've got social and we've got, you know, our email list, but what else do we have? We have partners that we work with all the time. We have community groups that we're in. We have coaches that we work with that I'm sure would be happy to endorse your stuff. So just thinking more out of the box. If it is something where you do have like a local presence or a local community, and this does happen, like, is there physical spaces? Are there physical spaces where you could advertise things, which could be a really nice addition. I know I said it in the group the other day, but when my mum was saying about how, this woman had changed her life talking about this topic she'd gone to see, and to us, I think we get so blinded by seeing this all day, every day. We forget the impact that it can have. And she literally saw that advertised in a shop, in like a supermarket thing, and I wouldn't even look twice at things like that, but people really do. So, it's just one to think about. What are your personal sales levers, and how can you get clever with that? How can you speak to people that, send it to me. I'm always happy to share stuff out. I'm always happy to recommend stuff. How can you tap into the people you've got around you that have a slightly different audience that can bring people in? And how many times will you use each one? So what are your sales levers? Where are you in your launch process, or where are you in your sales process? Because that in itself is going to have a huge impact on how many places you sell. If you haven't sold anything for a while, go for it, like absolutely go ham. But if you have come out of a heavy period of selling, or you are selling a lot of things at once, which isn't ideal but can happen, I've just been through that, then how many times are you prepared to talk about this thing before you know that you're going to piss your audience off, essentially? Or are there ways that you can protect, for example, email marketing? If you could say, on my content, I'm going to talk about everything else. I'm going to talk about my membership, my community, whatever you're selling. But email marketing I'm protecting, and that is just going to be for the workshop, for example. Let's talk about pricing a little bit here, because it's really important to consider the pricing of this. And there's a few ways to go at this. One is on thinking of a number that you would like to make, like actually thinking of the cost. How long is this going to take me to create? How long is it going to take me to deliver, sell? How much of my time is this going to take? And therefore, how much do I want to make? How many people do I think I can get in? Come to your price that way. The other way is, what value do I know I can deliver to people, and what is that worth? And then the other way is, if this is the first time of doing this, is there another value to you, which is just that I just want to get my first one over and done with and feel confident with it and get people through the sales process and get people in. And so you do pick a price that is much cheaper. There's that economies of scale with things like this anyway. If you price it lower, you will probably get more people in. If you price it higher, you will perhaps get less people in. And none of that is an exact science, but it does come back to what you feel confident with. I could say to you, none of you should be charging less than £99 for a workshop, and you would go out and perhaps feel so awkward about telling people that if you don't feel that it's worth it, or you don't feel that you're at that stage, that you won't sell any places. It's a really, really personal thing. And if you're prepared to take the hit on the first one just to get the process done and get it out there and do it, then do that. But I would urge you not to plan to run any workshops for anything less than 1,000. Because it's just not worth it. Because then you also have, when you're considering the pricing, you do also have the afterlife of the product. What do you do with the product then? It can sit somewhere, it can go into a bundle, it can start to build up a membership. There's a lot of other things you can do with that product if you don't make the money the first time round on the live version. We'll come back to that. Any pricing questions, just pop them in the chat and we'll come back to it. Delivering it. Okay, coming back to tech again. I know it's a huge one for people. What tech we use to deliver? Most people are going to use Zoom. I up until about 44 minutes ago, I would have really recommended butter because I love that it looks after the recap, the delivery of the links, all of that stuff. I still would recommend it. I just really need to get a grip on this screen sharing because this cannot be the right way to do it. So what tech are you going to use to deliver? What do you feel comfortable using? Who do you need to support you? This is a huge one because I used to forget every time on Zoom that if you're presenting and people are coming in, like it's so distracting, you have to stop screen sharing. Do you need someone to support you during that time, a VA or something that you can pay, that you can give them hosting, they can let people in, they can manage the chat, and then all you have to do is think about presenting because, you know, it should feel not overwhelming, but it should feel like you're in the zone and, you know, putting yourself out there. You're teaching people for however long. So you do need to have that focus and energy on what you're doing. So yeah, what tech are you going to use to deliver it? Who do you need to support you? Do you need to bring a VA in? Do you need someone who can manage the tech while you're focused on that? And do you need to do a test run? Which I should probably have done. It's funny, isn't it? You think if someone said to me, do you do a test run? I'd be like, no, I mean, I could do this stuff with my eyes shut. So maybe we should all do a test run. Timing. This is another huge one. This used to stress me out so much. There's nothing worse than getting halfway through your slides and realizing that you've only got 10 minutes left, or, you know, having to like rush through the end. It's so important to keep that pace. However you need to do that, whether it's, you know, you break it down, you've got 4 sections, so it's running for an hour, and you know it's always going to take longer when you're doing it live. So maybe you plan each section for 10 minutes and just timing yourself to do that, to know you've got the timings roughly there, because there is nothing worse than having to rush the end. Or actually there is something worse than that, and that's having to flesh out the end because you've rushed through the first bit, and having to kind of fill and you know, fill in and pad time out is really awful as well. So how are you going to track the time? How are you going to plan for the time when you're creating the workshop? That's really important. How are you going to add an engagement in whilst considering time? Because that's the biggest impact. If you get sidetracked, if you start talking, if you are asking questions that people then want to ask a question back and you get caught up in the chat. I've done that before as well. So how are you adding engagement and still be within your time allowance? And how long will you need for Q&A? If you do a Q&A at the end, I would really recommend Q&As if your subject allows for it. I would really like that human element. It's my favorite bit. And I always feel like people get the most from it because it's the time that they get to link what they've learned to themselves or to their business. So I would really, really recommend. I think there's so much value in the Q&A bit. So when we're delivering it, we really need to consider our energy. I'm going to be honest with you. I was given a caffeinated coffee yesterday in Costa. Made the mistake of going to Costa. Was given a caffeinated coffee instead of a decaf. So I've had 2 hours sleep last night. And then, this is TMI, but we have a holiday let, and we've just found out that a drug dealer booked it for the last 2 nights. So Steve's had to doing some county lines thing. So Steve's had to go out there today and like change all the locks, and it's just been one of those days. So how are you going to make sure, even on the days where you've had 2 hours sleep and a drug dealer is staying in your holiday let, how are you going to make sure that you can turn up and give people what they've paid for? You know, all of the stuff before is about how can we make it work for us, but we're only making it work for us so that it works for our audience, so that it works for our customers, so that we can give them what they've come for. I know I've dropped the ball on some of this. I haven't put my pricing in. And I also know I'm among friends and that's okay. But and it doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to be it does have to deliver the value that you've promised. So how are you going to make sure you turn up with that energy regardless of whatever's happened? What energy is that you want to deliver with? Because that will be different for each. Some of us might want to turn up and be really hyped up and getting people excited. Izzy's would, I guess, be much calmer and would be more of a kind of tutorial. No, not calmer. Okay. How presumptuous of me. You will know the energy that you want to turn up with, and whether that's a squirrel on cocaine or a much calmer being, then that's up to you. And how do you want people to feel? Do you want people to feel? You want people to feel like safe and cared for in your energy, but do you also want them to feel a particular way that aligns with the topic that you're delivering? Do you want them to feel inspired? Do you want them to feel confident? All of this stuff needs to be considered when we think about how we're actually delivering the workshop. And that's not to put any more pressure on you than is necessary, but I think it's really important to think about that and think about how you want your people to feel while they're watching you. And then your personality. How can you add more of yourself into your presentation, into your workshop? So is it that you've done your slides and then you go back through and you change some of the words for, I don't know, swearing or more fun language or more serious language, whatever that might be? How can you put more of you in this? People have signed up to your workshop because it's you. There will be hundreds of people teaching exactly the same thing as you're delivering in this workshop. Hundreds, if not thousands. They've chosen this workshop because it's you. How can you put more of you into it? They want to see your personality, your passion, your knowledge, your authority on this area. And how will you use this as a know, like, trust tool? So we said before, yes, it's a standalone thing, but there is a strategy play here, which is if you're selling it to the public, it's an easy way for people to go, oh yeah, I'll invest, 25 quid, 50 quid, 100 quid with this person. I'm not there with their, one-to-one coaching or the other things I've seen them offering, but I'd love to work with them. How are you going to help them go on that journey to get to know you and get to know how it is to be in your energy and how it would be to work with you? Because that's a really nice way of slotting it into your journey. And what would you want people to remember? What would you want them to, they come off the workshop, what do you want them to say to their, partner, pet, family, friends, whatever? What do you want them to say about, I did this workshop this afternoon, it was absolutely what? Think about that, and that gives you another guiding principle when you are creating it. Following up, I will burn through this so we've got time for questions. Following up is really, really important. Comes back to what I've just said about the know, like, trust thing, bringing people through. So always make sure you have a way to deliver anything that you've promised, whether that's a replay. You don't have to do a replay, but if it's a replay, a way to deliver that, a workbook, bonuses, whatever that might be. Also, even if you don't have any of that stuff, just to thank people for coming, hope that they enjoyed it, and kind of follow up, show them how much you care and how you appreciate that they've invested their time and energy in you. Following up with bonuses, how are you going to deliver the bonus? Is it a bonus that needs your individual attention? So did you offer a one-to-one with certain people? Does that need booking in? So making sure we follow through with all of that stuff, because if we're doing this live as we deliver it, it's easy to forget this stuff that comes afterwards. And what's next? So what can you offer those who want to continue working with you? So for me, often with this workshop, I'll get in touch with people and say, come and join the community. We have these every month and it's included in the price and blah, blah. What's that next stage for you that's an easy yes, that just gives people more of the same, more access to you? Is it, you know, it's a big jump to go from a workshop to come and work with me one-to-one, but maybe it's a workshop into a course or into a group program, or, you know, into kind of a more not such a huge jump financially and commitment wise. And that's it. There we go. There we go. Let me come back to this, and now I can get into the questions. How was that helpful? Hi, Yaz. Feel free to unmute. Let me just start getting through these questions. Done live in person, few one-offs in lockdown. Can't for ask questions at the end. Yeah. What if I run out of things to say? Oh, what I plan for an hour only lasts 10 minutes. Yeah, that's a huge one, isn't it? Definitely doing that time pacing really helps. What if I waffle too much and miss the whole point of the workshop? Hopefully, Mel, that has shown you how to not do that. Yeah, having those, like breaking it down. More about structuring. Has that helped, Meg, the structuring bit? Your questions about structuring and not hitting them with shitloads of information.
I think I kind of like think about like all the stuff that I want to tell somebody, but don't think about almost like wireframing it,
zooming out.
Yeah, so that's really helpful to get super specific.
Yeah, really, just breaking it down into, I often think of it as, if I was learning this, what would I want to know? Like, or what are the steps that I go through? Just zooming out and structuring it into those 3 or 4 sections. Naomi, what if I get so excited that I start eating my words or speak too quickly with a thick accent? Yeah, it's hard when English isn't your first language, isn't it? But I guess it just comes back to what I said at the beginning, making it work for you. You're at work, aren't you? Making it work for you. What feels good for you? And that could even be, it could be like a podcast or something, you know? It could just be audio. If that made you feel more comfortable and allowed you to, I don't know, speak slower, or, you know, you can have captions on and stuff like that to help.
For this one, I'm alone by accident for the next 15 minutes. So for this first workshop, I already asked someone that I know to be there in the room and signal.
Brilliant.
Because I know I get to talk, you know, I love gardens and I know I can deliver so much. And sometimes I do know that I get so excited that sometimes people get a bit lost just because I start speaking very quickly, or, you know, the Italian accent take over.
Yeah.
So having just someone there for the first workshop that actually worked brilliantly, because was someone that really, really wanted to join the workshop but didn't have the funds.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's brilliant. I need help for one day.
Perfect.
And so we paired, so she gets to attend the workshop and I get someone to keep an eye on people, give me, you know, the time. So
Brilliant.
That is such
that's great.
Yeah.
I think you speak really clearly. I think with the structuring thing, you joined at the beginning, didn't you? If you stick to that structuring thing and have really clear prompts for yourself and make sure that you stick to those, that's the beauty of that, because you can then go off on tangents, but it will bring you back to that topic.
Can I just add something that I think will be valuable, I think, for others as well? So I'm a garden designer and I'm setting up, I've got this workshop for people who want to design their own gardens. And just by accident, once I had already launched mine, an interior designer booked the same venue, with the same structure, with the same, basically was the copy of my workshop, but happened to be a couple of weeks before, and I attended and was so helpful because actually she delivered 1/4 of what I had in mind to deliver.
Yeah.
And still people were so happy.
Yeah.
And so I thought, wow, I had all this pressure to deliver so much, to give so much information. And she only had pretty pictures. And everyone left so happy. And I thought, actually, I'm so overcomplicated this because I've got so much info I want to give. And probably I'm trying to squeeze the content of 4 workshops in one.
Yeah.
So it was so helpful to see someone else that had a fraction of my experience, that shared a fraction of the information, and still people left very happy, feeling it was very valuable. So it was such a wake-up call.
Yeah, it really is. I think, you know, we can all think of things that we've been to, whether it's workshops or courses, where it's just like we're fire hosed with information, and that's not what we want. It's particularly for workshops, it's one thing, teaching one thing and being really, really clear about that. So yeah, for you, Naomi, maybe that's, you know, planting in autumn for spring or whatever it might be. It's not how to plant your whole garden. It's like that one thing. So yeah, that's a really good lesson, isn't it? Unfortunately, they want to know details of really boring things, Izzy. But that's what Q&As are great for.
Yeah, but
Or like
I've just
sessions.
I mean, like the example I gave, everyone said, "Oh, what needle do you need?" And I'm like, oh, really? But actually, I've just thought there's the boring answer, which is literally what needle I use. But there is a more interesting answer, which is why do I use this needle or that needle? Like, you know, sometimes you could stitch metal, or you could stitch sequins, or, you know, what happens if we use a leather needle and we say, you know, so there's like 2 ways you go.
Definitely. Or there's one which is, you know, the foundation workshop, you know, which is, these are the needles I use, this is the thread I use, or, you know, going through that. There's a few ways to cut it. Brilliant. Is that Storybrand, Liam? That book? I can't see the full link. Is it Storybrand?
No, it's a guy called Philip Humby. He's basically done a book on various different storytelling books, and he's basically created like an actionable story selling book. So he's basically just given them proper actionable steps to create their own stories and use them for selling stuff. So I found it very useful, because most of the other ones I've read have just been kind of telling you about stories and how they work. And this one takes so many different things. And yeah, it brings it together. And I've just found it personally good. As someone who overthinks how to do it, it's kind of taken the thinking out of it, which is
brilliant. I love it. I'll save that. Storytelling method. Love it. Brilliant. Thank you. Abby, I think what I always worry about is how to make something for a group that meets the need of each individual. Yeah, it's like crowdsourcing, isn't it? It's like, what's the one thing that will appeal to the most people in your audience? Just remind me what you do, Abby. I'm so sorry to ask that.
That's okay. So I'm a health and social care consultant. So what I sort of like coach and stuff on is it's really specific about like the compliance side of how to sort of register adult social care services. So it's quite like really niche information, I guess. And I guess clients sort of come to me like at different points in the journey of setting up a new care service or different sort of types of services.
So would you sell services into local authorities, or is yours?
No, so more like small business people starting up, like making new providers, or like established care companies where they want to like make changes to their registrations.
Okay, so maybe yours is less about creating a product to sell to many people, and it's more about creating something that you can sell into many businesses, you know, a lower price point thing that they can access that isn't your consultancy time. Yeah, I'm sure there is something, but it sounds like, I don't know if there's something that enough individuals would buy. Maybe that's best, like taking the main topics that you would consult on and turning them into workshops, then you can sell them time and time again. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, cheesy icebreakers make me want to vom as well. I hate them. It's the way people deliver it with such confidence as well. I think neurodivergence, it's like bullshit detector, isn't it? Lives in my old Facebook group are awesome. Yeah, people love a live, don't they? Energy is important. Didn't think about an upsell. Just realised a cloud post workshop. How do you deliver this if you don't have a strong? How would you advertise this if you don't have a strong brand, community online, and no website? I would do exactly what I said, Liam. I would tap into everyone you can, post it in, think about your sales levers or your sales sites. The community is definitely one. People would, I'm sure, be really interested in your stuff. Any other community groups you're in, anyone who is on the kind of periphery of what you do, so you share an audience with. And remember, it's about anything like that is a value exchange. So when you're approaching people, if you're asking them to share your stuff, if you're asking them to, if you're interested, what's the value exchange you can give them? Can you offer them a place? They're probably busy, so have a think about how you can do that. Is there something you can do for them, and then you can ask them for a favor back? But yeah, definitely think outside the box. I don't think the audience isn't the be all and end all, but start thinking about how you're going to build that audience as well.
Thanks. Would you advise putting like a landing page together for this, or do you think just don't bother? If you're going to do it like social kind of advertising versus doing it online, would you still have a landing page for someone to go to register?
Yeah.
Is that still necessary?
I think you need to. I think if you don't have if you think about it, if someone else is kind of advertising it for you, everyone's essentially going to be cold to you. So yeah, you'll need some kind of landing page with information. But I use Thrivecart, Unbounce, all of those places you can just set up a landing page. Do I mean £1,000 per person? No, £1,000 total. So 1,000. You should be aiming for £1,000 from the workshop. So if you're thinking, right, my goal is £1,000 and I reckon I could get 100 people in, then the price is £100. No, it's not. £10. Yeah, 100 people in. Oh my God, I'm sorry, I really haven't slept. If you think you can get 10 people in, it's £100. If you can get 50 people in, it's £20, You just kind of work it. Thanks, Izzy. Izzy's like, yes, that's right. You're just working it out that way. But I would recommend £1,000 is like your benchmark kind of target, really. Bought a visual timer. Yeah, perfect. 40 people from the local town. Oh my God, throw a party on the first night I launched my holiday let. Oh my God, people are just the worst. KLT is know, like, trust, Naomi. So it's just, how are you going to, for people to buy from us, they need to know us, like us, and trust us. So thinking of this as a tool to get people from not knowing us at all to knowing, liking, trusting us, and seeing that what we do is great and is good value for them, will help them come on to the next stage. So we're not using this as a standalone, one and done thing. There is a wider strategy to it as well. How many tools I recommend for planning this or brainstorming? Depends what you like to use, Liam. Like piece of paper, notes app, Google Doc, Miro, if you like a Miro. I tend to go straight into the slides. I'll just go and start typing it out and pad it into, and then duplicating and adding more in, and yeah. Got a client now. Oh, makes that to go. Got a split screen open with Zoom waiting for clients to arrive. Brilliant. Any tips of overcoming knowledge bias? Have so much experience and I forget what I know and what others don't. This is such a great question. Like, so often we're trying to teach people up here and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. And we Izzy saying about the needle, I used to have a group where I taught e-commerce brands about Facebook ads, and we're doing 100k a month in this group. It was incredible. We had like 1,000 people in there. It was brilliant during lockdown. And if one more person asked me what that Facebook pixel did, by the end of it, I would have punched them through the screen. But that's what they need to know, you know. I wanted to talk to them about like custom events and like blah, 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 and all this other like stuff that was exciting to me at that point. But that's not what they're paying for. They want to know, what does the pixel do? How do I set it up on my website? How can I spend £5 a day? And it's really easy to assume that your audience are at the same place as you are. So think about the most basic things that you could teach them. What did you want to know a year ago or 2 years ago? Because that's the stuff that the majority of your audience want to know. It amazes me when I share stuff about RSD. Like, I'll share stuff and I'll put RSD and people say, what's RSD? And that it just amazes me, because you forget that people are there's a huge proportion of people still at that part of the journey in whatever the equivalent is in your industry. So I think it is about, obviously you know about it, it's about challenging yourself on that. And just, I guess it's that self-awareness, isn't it, of, if this is something I created content about and put it out, would it do really well? Like, I could do a workshop on, I don't know, the trauma of a later in life ADHD diagnosis and how it impacts your business. But if I put that out compared to putting one out about overcoming time blindness or time collapse, that the time collapse one would do so much better. Like, something around something I perceive to be quite a basic thing that I feel like everyone knows about, but it would do so much better because not everyone's at that stage yet. Does that help? No? Give me a specific example. What's your industry again? Tell me your.
So this is the problem, because I am not where my dream clients are. Okay. And not even like a year ago. So I've been running my own business for almost 13 years next month. So I help ADHD and dyslexic business owners with content, social media, marketing, community management. Okay. And it has been a very long time since I've done like the basics. But I don't want to also attract people who want to know the basics. Yeah. My people have been running their business, for a few years, and they've got to the point where they're really fed up with their social media, and they're like, okay, I just want it to be easier, I want it to work with my energy, and I just want to do it my way and not follow a blueprint or. Sure.
What I would say is, do you have capacity for more clients?
Yes.
Oh, like many more clients?
Yes, I've got a membership.
Okay. So it would be to get people into your membership.
Yeah.
And so the memberships for ADHD and dyslexic business owners who want to create their own content?
Yep. So it's not managing anyone. So it's not social media management. It's teaching them how to do their own content, but in a way that suits them and works for them.
So that's how I would see it. It's that path. It's the done with you path, not the done for you path.
Yeah.
So then it's breaking down what's the step before them joining the membership. They do want to know the basics, don't they? They want to know the basics of how do I get more clients through Instagram, or how do I use TikTok if I don't want to sing and dance, or those basic, how do I use Pinterest to get more eyes on my website. It's those kind of basic things,
Okay.
rather than your clients who are coming, who don't want to know that. They're coming to you to manage that.
I don't do any social media management.
What do you do in your, what's your, oh, so you don't do done for you services?
None.
Oh, okay, sorry.
None.
There was two.
That's my
Okay.
nightmare.
So you just have the membership?
I have the membership, I have one-to-one, and I have courses on Udemy as well.
Okay, perfect. Well then, so then it's the basics of content creation
Okay.
through a ADHD dyslexic lens.
Yeah. And it's just remembering that from the beginning.
What do you teach in the membership?
So we have Q&A sessions, we have coaching sessions, but that's more about the leadership, the energetics, and like the, you know, like personal power things. And then they've got trainings on like choosing their own way to do social media. They've got trainings in there on how to make their content with intention, so they're just not posting for the sake of posting. Trying to
It's
think
less
now.
of the how-to, it's more around the subject.
Yeah.
I would
So
say
it's not like how to use Instagram, how to use Reels.
right.
It's not that basic level, because someone could go and YouTube that.
Okay, so then it's the step before that, whatever that is. So the stuff around it is
Yeah.
the step before that. So it's, why is it important to show up in energetic? Why is it important to be in the right energetics when you show up in your business if you have ADHD and you're
Okay.
dyslexic? You know, why does it matter that you create content in a way that works for you? What happens if you don't? How to create it in that way? It's taking that step back from the membership.
Got you.
Or it's seeing it as a completely different product and serving a demographic within your audience you're not currently serving, which is more about the basics and more about the how-to stuff, you know, because it's just the idea of this is that you work on those sparks of inspiration. So if you have something that you think, oh, people keep asking me this thing, that's what I'm going to create the workshop on. And yeah, you will know if that works for your audience. And you'll know as well if, you know, we're not going to just kind of blindly create it and then spring it on people. It'll be something you put in stories. I'm doing this workshop. You'll kind of get a gauge from people if they're into it.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem. All right. Yaz got a question about combining the workshop with a product.
So I sell one digital product because I just focus on this is what you need.
Yeah.
But I know that a lot of my audience, even though it's just a Google Sheet template, that's scary to them. So I was thinking about creating a workshop where, like, I sell the spreadsheet for £22, and I've just worked out that if I had 33 people paying £30 for the workshop and then gave them the spreadsheet as part of that cost, because I don't want to charge them too much, but I just was like, am I just like faking the workshop working? Because the majority, I could have got £22 for the spreadsheet, but I feel like these are people that wouldn't buy the spreadsheet unless they did the workshop.
Yeah, and then also you've got the workshop, so then every time someone buys the spreadsheet in the future, they get a replay of the workshop, because that's the problem you have, isn't it? People are I saw you talking about it on TikTok, and I was like, I mean, I love a spreadsheet, but that, even to me, that look, I don't know why I'm saying even to me, but it does look overwhelming, doesn't it? So I think, yeah, doing a like £30 for the workshop, I'm going to talk you through how to do it, or even doing it for the 22. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? It's done. Even if it's 25 quid, and then you do the live workshop with them, and then in future, every time someone buys it, you also get a replay, walkthrough tutorial of how to set it up.
Yeah, because I've often said, and I've done it before, and I've put it on YouTube. Like, I've talked through it, but I do think that there's something about people actually being online and like being able to ask me questions, because I've shown that spreadsheet so many times, and there's still people that go, I don't understand it. And I still, for 10% of the people who buy it message me because they don't know how to make a copy. Like, that's
wow.
So I just thought, and maybe I'll just do it for 22 quid for the people who want to have their hand held through setting it up. And then the add-on would be they can have a budgeting coaching session where we sit and do their budget together in the spreadsheet. So that would be my, like, if you want one-to-one, you can have that. But yeah, I just sort of thought, am I being counterproductive by, because I wouldn't want to do the workshop and not give them the spreadsheet. That would be crazy. I don't want to make them pay twice. But at the same time, other people have paid £22 and not had a workshop. So I was trying to make it fair and make it like make sense.
I think it's right. I think, you know, when you sign up to like SaaS products, like a tech platform or something, you can book onto like that month's walkthrough or kind of workshop around it. I think you could almost see it as like that. And if you look at the halo effect of it with what you've got coming up in terms of your new products and all of that stuff, it's a great way of building up your mailing list for all of that. So even if you did one a month and everyone comes to a live one, but when they buy it, they can, you know, and you have a week a month where you're pushing it, then that could work.
Yeah. I just wanted to like sense check, like, because it just felt like I was slightly going away from the workshop idea because there's a product involved. But that is what they need.
Yeah. I've thought about doing it with the wizard before. I get so many questions about it. I thought, oh, shall I just do a workshop so that people can work through it? No, it's a great idea. Have been great. I have to dash, have to run. How frequently do you think workshops work? I don't know. I don't know that there's an answer. I think it's I mean, I know someone who has, it's a bit different because it's in a community, but she does one a week, which I just think is a lot, or, you know, good value. One a month I think works really well because it's a nice kind of cadence for you to get into as well in terms of creating and promoting. But the thing I love about them is that it doesn't matter. You could just, you know, you could do one a month for 2 months and then not do one for 3 months. And I don't think it's more of a kind of inspiration energy thing. When the idea hits, you know, if it's something worth going for, I think. Yeah, I don't think, and I think you would know if people were getting sick of it, they're just not going to sign up. Forget people are always coming to a new area we've been immersed in for decades. Yep. If we have workshop topic ideas, can we share them in the Brainfest community? Yeah, 100%. Helping them build their email list. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Yeah, definitely. Gobka, anything like that? Oh, you're still here. Yeah, anything like that would be really, really, really good. Helping you how to build an email list, how to get ready for Q4, how to...
Yeah, I was just thinking about it.
Q4, definitely. How to build your audience, how to do things like things that people don't know. We always used to do really well talking about Q5, like that bit in between Christmas and New Year, and you know, if you can talk about things that people are like, oh God, what's that? I didn't even know that existed. That's like coming up towards Q4. Definitely.
Yeah, I felt like I missed the boat with Q4, so I was just trying to think what else I could do.
Yeah, no, I think that's really nice. Building your email list, and make sure you're using like the community when you launch these things. Put it in there. Get feedback from people. Put it in there to say you're doing it. There'll be people interested. 100%.
Okay, thank you.
One of my coaches does a workshop 2 to 3 a month on different topics. Yeah, it's a lot. I couldn't do more than one a month. I don't think. You'll all be pleased to know. Brilliant. Would you ever ask the community about what they're interested in, wanted to hear about, as in your audience, Claire? Yeah, I would do. I have a bit of a thing about when you see people asking their audience all the time. One of my favorite quotes is the Henry Ford quote that he never said about, if I'd listened to my customers, I'd have built faster horses. You know, it's just like, do they really know what they want? I prefer to do it. I prefer to do it the other way around. So talk about what I'm doing and then gauge the response, because I think otherwise it's like when you see people on Instagram or TikTok or whatever saying, what do you want me to post about? And you're like, that's your job. Like, stop, just stop asking people. It just looks, I don't know, I think it just puts you in a place of, it takes your authority away a bit. So I would always rather say, I'm hosting a workshop. A really nice thing to do is, people do this really well with, I don't know, like podcasts or when they're writing a book or something, is get like micro buy-ins along the way, or get people involved along the way. So maybe it's, I'm running a workshop about this. Which of these 3 titles do you like the best? And getting people to say, oh, I love that one. Like, people will do it with their workshop cover or podcast covers or book covers and things like that. So kind of getting those micro buy-ins along the way. So by the time it's launched, people feel like they're part of it and, really are ready to sign up. I quite like that. Fab. Well, we're at the end of the questions. Has anyone got anything else that they want to ask before we jump off? I'm sorry if it was a bit chaotic. Lindsay, I'm really sorry if it was chaotic for you, because you're brand new to the community and this is your first impression, but I don't think you caught the beginning where I completely messed up the screen share. It was perfect. There we go. Wonderful. Thank you. And this is the thing, I've said it a couple of times, but this is the thing about delivering something, for like knowing that the thing you're delivering is right for the people you're delivering it to, because none of that stuff matters. If the content's right, if they've got a chance to ask you questions, if you're delivering it with integrity, if you're delivering on the promise that they've signed up on, and that's talking about a kind of public paid workshop. If it's inside a community, obviously it's slightly different. They're your people anyway, but even if it's not, this is your chance to find your people, because the same as an email list or your content or whatever, there will be people who sign up and go, oh, actually, that wasn't for me. I like what they're teaching, but their style isn't right for me, or actually it went way over my head, or, you will have that as well. But I was only thinking about that this morning, Katie. I've got a meeting. I'm just trying to work out where to do it. I think we'll do like one in London. Is everyone like London, Manchester-ish? If we're close. Where are you, Katie? Are you like Cornwall or something? Cornwall or Scotland? Oh, Bristol. Yeah, but you're like south. That's London, isn't it? The same as Sheffield to Manchester. If I did want it, bearing in mind I can't go like, I'm not Jason Donovan, am I? I can't do one in each city, like Steve Bartlett popping up on stages. I arrange one in London and one in Manchester, most of us can get to one or other of those. I think it'd be nice, wouldn't it? It'd be nice to all get together. I'll do a little poll in the group. We'll see where everyone is. Brain First Tour. Woo! I hate London because it usually means an overnight stay due to early event start. It won't be early. It won't be early. Don't worry about that. Perfect. All right. Lovely to see you all. Thanks for joining. I'm going to try and get some sleep. I hope you've all got a nice rest of your day planned. I'll get the replay up. I think you all get sent a replay as well, though, don't you? If you put your email address in, I think it sends you the recap. So, yeah, perfect. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for your patience in the beginning. And put any questions in the group and we can brainstorm together. All right, guys, have a nice afternoon. See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See ya.